Motorola just launched the Moto Z3 Play, which is their latest in their MotoMod-capable flagship devices. And they were kind enough to send me one to check out, so I figured I would do a complete walkthrough. Now, if you aren't familiar, a complete walkthrough on my site is where I try to go through every single feature on a device that I possibly can, so that if you were in the market to maybe buy one, this video will set you up and prepare you for everything you could possibly need to know should you want to. Now, with that said, as always, let's start with the hardware. The back of the Motorola Z3 Play is very recognizable to anyone that's used the MotoMod-capable series of Motorola phones, as it features the same magnetic connectors, shape, and camera bubble. They did at least cover the back in a nice reflective glass this time though, so that gives it a bit more of an updated look in my opinion, if you can get over the whole MotoMod shape, of course. Now, if you're not familiar, MotoMod devices all have this same design because they are all able to use the MotoMod accessories from Motorola, and that's just the shape they originally were made in, so they can't change it now. These MotoMods range from battery packs to Bluetooth speakers to miniature projectors to Hasselblad cameras to game controller add-ons, etc., etc. And they can each be purchased separately from Motorola and then magnetically attached to the back of the phone using the pin connectors. Now, Motorola made a promise that all of their MotoMods would work for the next 3 years on all of their MotoMod devices. This happens to be the 3rd year, so after this, they probably don't need to stick to that anymore. For the first time though, the Moto Z3 Play comes with one MotoMod in the box, a battery that supposedly extends the battery life of the phone up to 40 hours in total. Continuing with that more updated look on the front, we have thinner bezels, a taller screen, no visible buttons anywhere to be found. That screen is a Super AMOLED 2160 by 1080 resolution 6-inch display with a more updated 18:9 aspect ratio. Above the screen, we have an 8-megapixel f2.0 wide-angle lens. Below it, the Motorola logo and some microphone holes. On the right, our side-mounted fingerprint scanner that is just that, a fingerprint scanner and not a power button, which might have made more sense to me. But instead, on the left, we have the power button by itself. At the top, we have the SIM card and micro SD card slot combo. At the bottom, we have our USB-C port. There is no headphone jack, and there is a USB-C to 3.5mm adapter included. On the back, we have our dual camera setup featuring a 12-megapixel f1.7 aperture camera paired with a 5-megapixel depth camera, they're calling it, which, as I'm sure you have guessed, allows for portrait mode shots as well as some other software camera trickery that we'll dive into a bit more in a sec. Also in the camera circle is our dual LED flash. The phone comes in this deep indigo color, as they call it, is splash resistant but not IP rated, and has a 3000 milliamp battery that is turbo power charging capable with their 15-watt included charger. It's running on a Qualcomm Snapdragon 636 chipset paired with 4 gigs of RAM and either 32 or 64 gigs of internal storage. And one of the beauties of Motorola devices is that they are running pretty much stock Android, and the Moto Z3 Play is no exception. It's running Android 8.1, which is very stock feeling and snappy, and so in this walkthrough, let's focus on the only software that Motorola adds to the vanilla Android experience review. Now, instead of a UI skin, Motorola simply adds their own Moto app that includes some useful software tweaks. There are Moto actions that you can use to do things like twist the phone to open the camera, one of my personal favorites, but also a screenshot editor that toggles an editor for screenshot options that appears immediately after taking a screenshot. 3-finger screenshot that allows you to touch and hold on the screen with 3 fingers to take one. 1-button nav lets you get more screen real estate by removing the 3 virtual navigation buttons and replacing them with a small icon that you can tap to go home, swipe left to go back, swipe right to get to multitasking view, and tap and hold to get your Google Assistant. You can chop twice for the flashlight, which allows you to make a chopping motion with the device to get it to turn on the flashlight, obviously. Swipe to shrink the screen gives you the ability to swipe diagonally to the bottom left or right corner of the screen to shrink it for better one-handed use. Pick up to stop ringing, which is pretty self-explanatory, I think. Flip for Do Not Disturb, which will enable the Do Not Disturb feature if the phone is ever laying face down on a flat surface. And then there's Moto Display, which gives you night display that turns the screen color warmer as the day goes on to help you sleep better. Attentive display, which checks to see if you are looking at the screen using the front camera and sensors, and if you are, it'll keep the screen from auto-locking. And Moto Display, which I personally love, that fades notifications in and out on the screen while the device is off. And finally, for the tweaks, there is Moto Voice, which seems a bit pointless to me as it's just Motorola's replacement for Google Assistant, which is also included on the device. It does probably let you do a few more things like control device functions like volume, etc. But that's about it as far as I can tell. Now also in the Moto app, there is a suggestion section which gives you tips for battery life, storage, etc. based on your usage. And lastly, for the software, there's a Moto Help app that is their support app, a Moto Z Market app, which is a shop for other Moto mods and accessories, and Motorola Notifications, which is just a page to subscribe or unsubscribe from Motorola's newsletter. Yes. Now, the Moto Z3 Play camera can shoot up to 12 megapixels in 4:3 aspect, 9.1 megapixels in 16:9, or 8.1 in 18:9. For video, it can shoot up to 60 frames per second in 1080p or 30 frames per second in 4K. Now, there's no optical stabilization that I can detect, but there is electronic stabilization up to the 1080p. Now, for camera modes, we have the front. Auto, as usual. Manual mode that lets you adjust the ISO, exposure, white balance, and other camera settings individually. Active photos, which is their version of iOS's live photos. Portrait mode, which uses the secondary lens on the back to try and blur out the background in the photo. Cutout, which uses the same information as portrait mode, but instead of blurring the background, it allows you to remove it instead. Spot color, that allows you to pick a color in the photo and it'll remove all the other colors from the shot besides that one. Cinematograph, which is a thing that was popular on social media for a bit, but I haven't really seen a lot lately, but it is kind of cool. It allows you to take a photo mixed with a GIF, basically, and you can highlight an area of the photo that will continually loop its movement while the rest of the photo stays static. Think of it like a mix between a video and a photo. Panorama, which we're all familiar with. Text scanner, which can extrapolate text from a document and let you copy and paste it wherever you want. Face filters, just think Snapchat filters basically. Group selfie that takes a wider shot from the front-facing camera. Slow motion, which does 5 times slow-mo at 720p. Time lapse, which lets you create a sped up video either with 4, 8, 16, or 32 times the normal speed. And YouTube Live, that lets you stream to YouTube directly from the camera instead of using your normal YouTube app. That's basically it. Quick rundown of everything software, hardware, etc. on the Motorola Z3. Hope you guys enjoyed that. If you did, please thumbs up it or share it. It's greatly appreciated. You can also check out the link below to be taken to the article on my site where I've actually uploaded a couple of photos and videos for you guys to check out the samples if you're interested in that. Otherwise, if you're not subscribed, please do so. And if you are, please check the bell next to the word subscribe because YouTube has decided that they don't want to notify any of my subscribers whenever I put up a video. So that's really the only way you're going to know that I do a new one. Otherwise, though, as always, regardless, thanks for watching.